Quick update, everybody. How y'all doing? First and foremost, how are you? How are you? You know my name, right? Okay. Thank you for joining me. Sherman D. Manning, coming to you live from Los Angeles, California. God bless you. It will be political malpractice and preacheristic malpractice, if you will, for me not to mention Lee Baca. One of my listeners sent me an email just a little while ago and said, why haven't you commented on the Los Angeles County Sheriff, Lee Baca? We'll do a whole show on Lee Baca tomorrow and the LA County jail system and their deputies, etc. tomorrow. But let me say to you that I hope Lee Baca gets a life sentence in prison. I really do. He's a devil. And I do not understand my brother Earl O'Farry Hutchison writing letters of support for this guy. You know, I'm not going to call Earl and Uncle Tom like someone did in my presence just last week. I'm not going to say that Earl is not this or Earl is not that, but I'm going to tell you that I do not agree with Earl or any other progressive citizen who cares about justice for all writing any kind of letter of support for this devil. Lee Baca is a devil. So is Paul Tanaka, the sheriff who just got 5 years in prison. Lee had negotiated a deal with his attorneys for a 6-month sentence in jail, and he was even trying to wiggle out of that by coming up with this, I have Alzheimer's now. And I guess, the federal judge basically said, hey, we got some pretty good doctors in federal prisons. Some of them are in private practice, and they just serve the prison on the side so we can treat your Alzheimer's just as good in prison as we can on the streets. So miss me with that bull crap. And so the judge tore up the deal, which is a rarity. It's very rare because, they all work together. They're in cahoots together. But it's very rare for a United States federal judge, or any judge for that matter, to disagree and to void a deal that has been worked out by a U.S. attorney and defense attorneys. Shame on the U.S. attorney for even being willing to allow Baca to do 6 months in prison, and that's all. The rich get richer, the poor get prison. Had he been some regular guy off the streets, they would have wanted to give him a life sentence. But since he was a sheriff, they wanted to give him 6 months in prison. And that has always irked me. It should be the opposite. Since these people get special privileges. When you are, oh God, I wish I had time to do this like I want to do it. But when you are a sheriff, that's the top dog. A sheriff can arrest the governor. A sheriff can arrest people that the regular cops can't even arrest. Okay? That's first and foremost. Secondly, when you are a sheriff, you are the man. But even as regular law enforcement, deputy sheriffs and police officers, please understand, we give them special perks. We give them special privileges. Some are written and some are unwritten. Do you really believe that if a cop is in his personal car and he's doing 100 miles going down the street and he gets stopped by a fellow cop who doesn't know it's him, once they stop him and sees his badge and finds out that he's one of the fellows, do you think he's going to get a ticket? 9.5 times out of 10, he's not going to get a ticket. We already know that. Okay, I'm not in love with the cops. But even I'm going to admit that if I were a cop, I would do that. If I were a police officer and you were speeding down the street 100 miles an hour at night and I stopped you and found out that you were a cop, I'd let you go. Now, if you were drunk, that'd be a different story. But even then, if I liked you, I'd probably do a favor for you. Say, look, man, we're going to give you a ride home and get one of my partners to drive your car home because we don't want you to lose your job. This kind of stuff happens every day. So they get special perks for being cops. Okay? And they should be held to a higher standard. So when you know better and you still do wrong, you should have to pay more than anybody else has to pay. Not less. Not less. Not less. I'll use my own paradigm as an example. When preachers do wrong, God gets really upset because we know better. Basically, it says, I've been preaching my gospel. You know right from wrong. You preach the word. You teach the word. It is much, much different, for a person who doesn't know right from wrong or who doesn't know what's better. And simply ask yourself this question. If you were dealing with a child who did not know a rule and they broke the rule without knowing it, would you be as stern on that child as you would on a grown man who not only knows the rule but wrote the rule or is charged with enforcing the rule? So we need to get this. We need to stop doing this. That upsets me. That lets you know that this criminal justice system is criminal, but there's not much justice because what they do is they look out for their own. And so when a cop gets in trouble, they'll, in 9 times out of 10, the judge will give this little stern speech about how you should have known better, and you let the courts down, and this court is displeased, and we find this and we find that, and then bang that gavel and give him probation. Or bang that gavel and give him 6 months in jail, which is what Baca thought he was going to get. And as I say, he even thought he was going to get out of that because he was using Alzheimer's now to say, hey, I can't even do the 6 months in jail. I should just, have house arrest or no jail at all, or probation, his attorney was asking for. So I am glad the judge voided the deal. And I have intimate experiences with LA County Jail, intimate experiences with the LA County Sheriffs. They're devils and corrupted. They're brutal. They're vicious. They're mean. They're bitter. They have their own gang. Tanaka should be under the prison, and Baca should be under the prison. So if you wanted to know what I thought about it, there you go. Listen, I love you all very much. Keep me in your prayers, please. Do me that favor. Don't forget, I ask you, and we'll ask you every time. Call 3 friends. Call them, text them, or email them, and ask them to listen to this podcast. Call, text, or email 3 more friends and ask them to go to YouTube and look at videos by me. And then ask them to get a copy of The Truth About O.J. Simpson, Race, Class, Money, and Justice. Please, please, please tell everybody you know about this podcast, starting with 3 people at a very minimum. 3 people. I'm Sherman, y'all. I love you so much. God bless you. Keep the faith. Keep hope alive, as Jesse would say.